Well, hey, everybody. All right, we ready. We ready.
Mm.
Welcome, you guys, to the Talk Spot Live After Show. We are so happy to see y'all. Oh my
Good to see
God.
you.
We took a break. LQ, you are muted.
I'm here.
Q.
I'm here. I'm looking up
All
these comments.
right.
I'm getting them ready.
All right. So, we are happy to be here. We took what? It's been 2 months now, almost, right? Whew. It's been
Mhm.
about 2 months, and we have missed you guys so very much. And as you see, I have Q with me, and we're down a co-host. So we want to send some love and shout out to Philly, who's recovering from COVID right now.
Mhm.
Yes. And although Philly's not here, we are still going to have a lit show because we have with us Pastor Alandres Thompson Jr.
Hey, hey, hey.
Yay! You guys,
Greetings.
we have a show for you today. But before we get into the show, I want to just stop. And you know how we do. We gonna let Q, you know what I'm saying, give his salutations of the morning, and then once he gives his salutations and greet y'all, then we're gonna move on and we're gonna let Pastor Alandres Thompson Jr. Introduce himself. I'm gonna let him do the honors for himself. He can introduce himself better than I can.
Salutations. I'll just start by saying salutations. Good morning. Happy Sunday. Um, be blessed, be free, have peace of mind, protect your peace, all those good things. I'll pass it on to Pastor.
All right. Grace and peace from God, our Father in heaven, and his Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord and our Savior. I bid you all a great hello, and I thank all of you for allowing me this opportunity to come and to join you wonderful co-hosts as we talk about some topics, as we talk about some things. And so again, yes, my name is Alandres Thompson, Senior Pastor of New Grace House of Worship here in Glendale, Arizona, by way of Southeast San Diego, and Detroit, Michigan, West Side. But listen, you know what, Cookie? I was just thinking about it though. Like the last time we've seen each other has been like, okay, so it was,
It's been
Lord,
over 20 years.
well over 20 years,
It's been
right?
over 20 years.
Wow. Wow. And I'm like, man, I haven't seen my sister in so long, but it's so good to see you. So good to see what you are doing. You're doing a great, amazing work, you and Q and the other gentlemen. And we are praying
Philly.
healed expeditiously, but it's so good to see you and so good to be here. So I thank you guys for affording me this opportunity to join you and to talk about the conversation we'll be talking about today.
Awesome. And you guys, if just to expound a little bit on what Pastor Thompson is saying, Pastor Thompson and we've known each other since we were 16. I think he might have been 15 and I was 16. And my family, we moved to San Diego, California when I was 16 years old. And when I got there, I know him as Alan. Alan was one of the first friends that my sister and I had,
Yeah.
and along with everybody else that was in the neighborhood. But Alan took to my little skinny, awkward self, and he's a little skinny, tall.
I was super skinny.
And we became good friends, and he's been like a brother, like he said, family more so. We are family. Missing in tow a little bit is Tara Thompson, which is First Lady to Pastor Alandres Thompson Jr. We love her. We love you, Tara. Wish she could have joined us, and we'll have a show where we'll probably bring her on and let her enlighten us as well.
Yeah.
Now we're going to move on, y'all.
All right.
You hate when you do that face. It's so cute. Cute looking like, oh, here we go.
Here we go.
Really, Alandres? Look at you. You ain't.
Here we go.
You ain't nervous. So let us get into it, y'all. Today, we are talking about the 40-60 rule. We're talking about where does sex fit in, meaning with such a sexually influenced culture, we have a question. Is sex now taking over as the foundation of relationships instead of genuine love, spiritual connection, and undying non-sexual based chemistry? Why is sex now being looked at as the foundation, as the foundational principle of relationships? Which one of y'all want to take a stab into answering this question for Kookie from the y'all team? I'm gonna let y'all team go first. Y'all team, tell me why. Tell me why. Tell Kookie Maddox why is sex such an important factor, or why is the society pushing the fact that sex is now starting to become the foundations of creating relationships, building relationships, and sustaining relationships? I need y'all to help me out from a man's perspective.
Well, one of the things that, I mean, you can start from all kind of different perspectives and positions on that. But if you look at it from entertainment purposes, we'll just start right there, right? The quote unquote sex sales. The only way that that a lot of these companies and businesses feel as though that they can market their product and why they go down that route is because they understand the dynamic of sex, right? And in entertainment, movies, music, television, whatever the case may be, if you come from a position of sex, you're going to grab people's attention. Right. And a lot of times people will not pay attention to anything if it doesn't appear to be sexy, if it doesn't talk about sex, if it doesn't relate to sex, if it doesn't manufacture sex, if it doesn't get people in the mindset of sex, right, then we don't want to hear it. But ultimately, that is the driving force that has really positioned us into this hemisphere of sex. If we look at what society has to say about where my sexuality should be. And I think that's one of the key things right there is a lot of people look to society to find out where their sexuality should be, opposed to looking to themselves, looking to if they are a believer in Christ or not, if they follow biblical standards, biblical principles, opposed to looking in that direction. We look to society to dictate where our sexuality should be. So that's just one perspective.
Absolutely.
Okay, I don't even know how to come back from that.
That's I'll agree. I'll chime in. Our standards of sex, as well as beauty, as well as masculinity, femininity, they're all social constructs. Right. At some point, somebody said, this is what it is supposed to look like. This is what it should look like. And as you mentioned before, I mean, there are structures even in Hollywood and in acting to where they will tell Black actors, I need you to be more Black. And this is a white director doing this. And so things that we receive on a pop media basis, they are not real, and we know they're not real. We are receiving, in other words, reality TV. So yeah, I agree with you completely. These are social constructs in all aspects. Right. Ultimately, I believe that it hasn't necessarily changed. It's just become more public. Right. It's always been there because being in school right now, I'm in grad school right now for English, and being in any English major knows that that's pretty much grad school for history, anthropology, science. You have to study all of this because all of it is written in English. So, and going back in a lot of these histories, and you hear a lot about, all these kingdoms, all these regimes, all these people. up until the United States was born. It has all happened.
Yeah.
But it is just the different aspect, the way society looks at it.
Mm-hmm.
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 And
Yes,
it's
indeed.
interesting.
Yes.
So I have so before we came out of the back room and we came on live, we were talking and I was just kind of giving my perspective, remember, to you guys as far as what I felt about this whole 40/60. And actually what has happened, and both of you guys have basically just supported my theory of what has happened, is that sex has now, you know how they talk about the 40/60, they talk about the 80/20, you know what I mean? And the what was the analogy with the 80/20 was like 20% of what you don't like and 80% of what you do like. Is that cup half full or that cup half empty? I feel like sex and relationships, it has transitioned into the 80/20 rule now.
Right.
And I feel like sex is now 80 and everything else is 20.
Mm-hmm.
And it's complicating so much of our society. It's complicating marriages. It's complicating how we're able to talk to our children out there now about sexuality and the preservation of your body, you know, and not feeling so pressured into, diving into a sexual relationship whenever you meet somebody that you're infatuated with, in most cases, let's keep real, or that you think you're in love with, or that you feel like this is what you have to do in order to sustain the relationship.
Right.
Sex is now starting to become an establishing of whether you're going to be with somebody or not.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from a woman's perspective, since y'all spoke for y'all team, I'll say that that there are women out there who feel like sex for them is the most important aspect of a relationship too. As you see, a lot of the way we take care of ourselves, we groom ourselves, the way we present ourselves, some of us, right? The way we present ourselves in a way where we're sexy and where we can be attractive to a man and appeal to his sexual nature. Because we feel like if we can strike a chord in his sexual nature, then he's got it. We can get him. However, there's other parts of our brain that works for people like me. I don't care for sex being the foundation of a relationship. I know, right? Like, and I know that there are women out there like me. Like I was telling y'all, I had been getting into a lot of conversations here in the last couple of months where I've seen a lot of relationships ending during COVID, especially because now you're in the house and you're around this person that your mate. Look at your face.
Right.
And now that you're around this person all day, there's nothing left for y'all to do. And somebody in the relationship is pressuring sex. Like that's all they want to do is sit around and have sex all day. And if you did not ever have the time, because you could leave and go to work for 8 hours, you got to be in 2 hours worth of traffic. You got to go to night school from work. You don't have enough time. So by the time you get home and y'all can fit sex in, everybody's okay with just fitting the sex in.
Right.
But once COVID happened, it was like, we ain't got nothing else to do. You better give me some.
Mm-hmm.
And if you got one person in it who's like, dag, is enough, that's not all I'm focused on. And now you don't want to focus on that because now y'all stuck together. It's causing a lot of relationships to break up. And I'm reading a lot where a lot of relationships are coming to the end, a lot of relationships with celebrities and everything. And believe it or not, it's not being as publicized. You got to dig in deep. A lot of it has something to do with sexual relations in the relationship, especially since COVID happened. Yeah. And as a woman, that is so disheartening. And it's leading me into asking the question, do either of you think it's a man or a woman thing? Is it safe to say that's a man thing? Y'all men are just, all y'all want is sex, and COVID happened, and all y'all want to do is knock us out. You know what I mean? Or is it a woman thing? Like, the woman's like, okay, I need you more. I want more. I want to, be in touch more. Like, what are y'all thoughts on that? Because I actually have my thought, but I want to hear y'all's first.
All right. Well, let me back up a little bit to the beginning, right, of the relationship. Think about it like this. If you market yourself in one dynamic, right?
Sure about that.
If you market yourself in one dynamic, then those who purchase what you market expect to always receive what they've purchased. What are you saying? If I come across completely, totally sexual in the beginning of the relationship, you cannot be upset with me that is my only complete train of thought, because that's what you advertised and that's what I purchased, right? If I go to a store and I buy a computer, right, I expect that computer from the beginning to the end to function in the manner in which I purchased it for, right? I bought this computer so that I can do computer graphics. I need you to uphold the standard in which I purchased you for, right? So in a relationship, we've got to be careful of what we market. We've got to be careful of what we put out there. It's okay to be to be the best version of yourself. It's okay to want to feel desired. It's okay to feel sexy and so on and so forth. But if you want to make sure that you have a sustainable relationship, right? And I'm even talking about before marriage. If you want to make sure that you have a sustainable relationship, you should not market yourself in a sexual way. You should market yourself to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, sex is an aspect of a relationship that we can talk about. But I also have a brain. I also have a heart. I also have wants, needs, and desires for myself. I need to make sure that, yes, if for some odd reason, if God forbid, I am no longer able to perform sexual acts, right, then I need to make sure that you are here for me and not just for my body. Are you here for my mind? Are you here for my heart? Are you here for what motivates me, what moves me? Are you here, watch this, are you here to add to me opposed to always taking away from me? Because oftentimes when it comes to sex, many times we are or the only thing that we want is to get satisfied for ourselves, right? To get satisfied for ourselves. Now, let me just dive into something else a little bit real quick. When we think about sex, especially when you talked about, is it just the male? Is it just the female, right? So another reason why we've got to be careful of what we market. Think about this. A male, right, was completely, well, I don't want to say completely, but we are designed by God, right? And the Bible tells us in the book of Genesis, chapter number 1, that God, or chapter number 2, God created man in his own image, right, in his own likeness, so on and so forth. And so he made Eve out of his rib and said it's not good for man to be alone, so on and so forth, right? And told them to be fruitful and multiply. God designed a man to produce seed, right? To produce seed. It is our inherent nature to produce seed. So there is a nature of us to have a desire to produce seed, right? We've got to get that out. Women have been designed, right, to receive seed and to have an egg and to connect and have a baby. So we all have an inherent desire for sex. God created sex. It's something that God created. He created sex to be pleasurable in the confines of marriage, if we're being honest about it, if we're being biblical about it, in the confines of marriage. And so, again, what we've got to think about is what I market, am I marketing myself for longevity, or am I marketing myself, right, for the here and the now? Because by marketing myself for longevity, then I'm not going into this relationship based upon sex, because sex can end at any day. But my mind, my heart will always continue.
So I have a question. I have a question. Something you said. So what if, just in either one of y'all or you, Pastor Thompson, what if you go into a relationship and you were able to basically keep up with, you know what I mean, the terms of the relationship in the aspect of sex? Like, okay, you came in, it was sexually driven and everything was all good, but then something happens, like you said, God forbid, and something happens where you can't function sexually, whether it be through stress, anxiety, depression, PTSD, or you have people out here fighting cancer, you know, chemo. There's residuals of treatments and so forth that will put you in a vulnerable position where you cannot function sexually. So what do you say to that aspect of the relationship where, yeah, you come in, you're a hard charger, y'all's relationship is sexually charged, y'all getting it in, but then medically, physically, things start happening, and whoever the person is that's facing this medical challenge, they're not able to basically now keep up. Is that wrong? Is that a part of, like you said, if you come in and what you're selling, like you said, you should have been on our Q, he should have been on our other show, right? If you coming in and you're conceptualizing sex all the time in this relationship, but then something unfortunately happens and you can't, what do you say to that type of relationship? Is that still falling under the umbrella of what do you expect? Or is there some sort of a empathy or sympathy that one partner, basically, mostly should be in marriage, should have for the other partner who's not able to now meet the sexual needs and expectations, but it's not their fault?
Right.
What do you say to that, Pastor Thompson?
You're right. It's not their fault. But I have to go back to, you know, what happened in the midst of while sex was good. Focus completely on sex because sex was good, or did we take time to step back a few times and have conversation? Right? Did we have conversation? Did we say, okay, the sex is good, right? But here's my mind. I need to make sure, because again, are we marketing for longevity, right? Are we saying, yeah, my sex is good, but here's also my mind has more to offer than my body does.
Yes.
Right. My mind has a whole lot more to offer than my body does. My mind, my heart has a whole lot more to offer than my sex does. And again, it's your duty, male or female. It is your duty. It's your obligation, right? That when you enter into a relationship, that you find out who you're getting into a relationship with, because then you can also step into the realm of soul ties, right? Oftentimes we are so vexed by a person who appeals to our sexuality that we get blinded and forget about our own set morals, values, our own desires, our own ambitions and goals, and things that we really want out of life, because why? We are so wrapped up in the aspect of the sex. And sex will blind you. Sex will lead you down a dark path that you don't want. Sex will write a check that the rest of your life
not cash.
Right? Sex will put you into a place that you are not supposed to be in. This is why, and I have to go here. This is why God said in the Bible, 1 Corinthians chapter number 7, I believe it is, where it says that the body, right, is the body is for God and God is for the body. So in other words, my body belongs to God. right? And so God doesn't want me laying with just anybody, And then again, when we're talking about soul ties, we've got to remember that people can disguise themselves when they enter into a relationship, right? They will disguise themselves. Oh yeah, I'm the perfect person for you. What I'm not telling you is all of the mess that I've been through, all the mess that I've caused other people, right? All of the people that I've been with, and all the 30 some odd people that I slept with. When I sleep with you, guess what? I'm bringing them and all their mess, all their trash, all their demonic spirits, all of their waste. I'm bringing all of that and I'm dumping that on you as well. And when you're no longer able to perform the sexual acts that I need you to perform, right? And then I'm no longer interested in you, and I don't have the capacity, watch this, to make love to your mind with my mind.
Absolutely. I agree. It's the aspect of being.
Get up and run up out of here. I'm about to get up and run up out of here. Because if you didn't just hit the nail on the head,
God be praised.
This is why we needed a kingdom man's perspective on this show.
Yeah. What I thank God for is my wife and I, right? We almost celebrate 20 years of marriage come July, right? 20 years of marriage. Lord knows God has really blessed her to be able to put up with somebody like me, because like you were always past. I got saved in 2008, so I was a complete total heathen prior to. But what I love about our relationship is the first 2 years of our relationship, and yes, we had sex out of wedlock and all of that stuff. We are from Christ back then. But the first 2 years of our relationship, all we did was talk. We didn't have TV, right? We just didn't have cable. But we talked. We literally talked. We would sit around, smoke weed. Let me be honest about it. Smoke weed. And listen to music,
It's legal now.
Child was hitting back then, Old Child.
Like it's legal.
Right. But we talked though, so we knew each other, right? Holistically, we knew each other. That's the key word here. Holistically, right? We knew each other before we got married. So when we got married, it was like, I know you, right? And my wife, and she might get mad at me because I'm always putting her business out in the street. So forgive me.
We love you, First Lady Tara.
Okay? If I call you and say, "Hey, listen, I ain't got, I need somebody to protect me. I'm Q. Bro.
I got your back. I got your back, Alan. Yes, side.
Okay. So she was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, right? So obviously her body is in pain. A lot. And so we can't have like that, like,
hey,
and we like in our 40s. So, I'm tired sometimes.
Hold up. I ain't gonna let you do that. Now, age ain't got nothing to do with it. Now, hold up. Hold up. We still can hold it down. You're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do that.
Okay.
First Lady Tara, right. I had your back, Alan, until you. Okay. I'm sorry.
But it goes back to what you said. If a person is not physically right able to, it's okay, because I love my wife's mind. Yes. I love her heart. I'm more concerned with her as a person than what she has to offer me sexually, so but that's my 2 cents. Okay.
No, it's cute, because you look like you had a mouthful. Q, what's up? And you not, I see Alan, you don't, but Q writing.
Yeah. She knows it.
What's up, Q?
Right,
old man.
Because I don't ever want to forget, and you say things that are so exciting.
Oh, that's so dope.
So I absolutely believe in what he says, and he mentions the aspect. I just call it preservation, and I feel like that's important, because if we're not necessarily taught how to have these type of conversations, we're not taught. anywhere, especially, let me be honest, in the Black community, Black family. It's like we don't talk about sex. We don't talk about politics unless it's what Big Mama talking about.
Right.
You just agree with you just agree with Granny.
Right.
And that's it. When Granny said, that's it. So we don't, so it doesn't come as a surprise when we get into our relationships or get into the positions in life when we're ready to really date and explore someone. The art of courting is also,
that's good.
You know, that's fell by the wayside. And so, and I'm learning all of this at 30. As a man, at 30, there was a question I asked myself in doing some writing a few months ago, but it was, how come no one's taught me how to actually speak to women? And then what happens when, like you said, I've never been married, but if I'm not mistaken, it is for better or for worse.
Right.
And as Pastor mentioned, you have to have sympathy. You have to have understanding. This is your partner. This is your life partner. So I'm like, if for me, it's, if you don't enter that realm in the spirit of best friend, it's not going anywhere.
Ooh, that's
you
good.
can't be all, I mean, I get it. It's like, yo, y'all like each other. Yo, she fine, shorty. Like, you know, I'm a man. I'm very much a man.
Right.
And I'm very much living my purpose as a man. You know, women, you know, I'm here for it. He made mountains, he made flowers, he made women. It's just, there you go.
And he made y'all.
Explore. But I would want to be a best friend. And as you mentioned before, you know, love my mind, love my spirit, love my energy. You know, what are we really bringing to this?
Right.
I forget what I was reading not too long ago, but it said how powerful the game of 21 questions still is.
Right.
And at any point in your relationship, marriage, engagement, whatever you're in, if you've been married for 10 years, 20 years, 2 years, if you can't at one point just sit down and just be like, babe, 21 questions, go. We constantly change.
Right. Oh, come on.
Constantly change. And you mentioned, and I understand, yo, 40, I'm 31. We, you know, ain't no wrong. We good. I'm probably healthier than I was in my 20s.
Right.
Hold up. We good too.
Bodies change. Let's be honest, you know, physiology, bodies change over time with age, with children and men too. You know, it changes. Things slow down. You say, I'm tired. I get it. I never in my life until I turned 30. When they say, yo, when you turn 30, that's when it all starts happening. Never in my life did I think I would be 30 years old. And I'm like, I don't want to ask. I don't want to do that. Why? We can watch TV. Get a whole TV right here. We got to. But our bodies change. Now, and friend of mine even mentioned before in conversation with close friends. I'll put somebody else's business out so you're not alone.
Okay.
I just won't say names, but after children, the chemistry of her body changed. Her drive changed, and what she realized is that, and her husband was upset. He's like, I don't know what's going on. Do I need to go get another girl? Do I need to go get another wife? I have to. And I'm like, that should have been a conversation when y'all was 22 and first starting to date. If you had an expectation, those expectations need to be written out at the very beginning. There needs to be an absolute foundation. And in the comments, Tamika Gare, she mentioned it. There needs to be a foundation for sex, for conversation, for prayer, meditation. There should be all aspects. These need to be built on. And these come in the game of 21 questions. When you feeling somebody like, oh, shorty cute. Yeah. But what's she thinking about though? You know, oh, that guy is handsome, but where's his mind at? Can he be my best friend? Will he be there when I do end up having to go through a certain ordeal medically? And I need that support.
Yeah.
And it may not just be from a medical perspective, but physically, like I was saying, stress, anxiety, depression, PTSD, because life events that don't even have nothing to do with medical can happen. You're grieving, loss. everything, and it affects you. And
Depression.
we're in partnership, right, Pastor Thompson, because that's what marriage essentially is. And even if you're in a relationship committed, y'all, you hopefully you built a partnership, correct? Which we already know that's not always the case. In situations, it's not a partnership, it's a situationship.
Right.
So if you're in a situationship,
I like that.
We're gonna have these issues that bringing us to the table to have to talk and have these conversations we're having. But I wanted to ask two questions. One question off of what you said, Q, because you brought up a valid point. Here's the thing: as men, do you think that in a relationship, let's say marriage or whatever relationship, that it is right for the person who feels like they're not getting their needs met, if it's a situation out of control for the other person who can't perform, do you feel like it's right for them to be able to go get their needs met any means necessary, whether it's having sex with other women, porn, or having virtual sex, or bringing other people in? Do you think that it's right for that mate to basically force and impress upon the one who's already dealing with self-esteem issues because of not being able to function? Do y'all think as men that it's okay for a woman or a man to come to their partner and say, you should be okay with me handling my needs any way I need to? Do you think that that's fair or right as men? I want a man's perspective.
I do not. I don't think that's fair or right. I don't think it's fair or right to impose anything, because at the end of the day, despite the actual piece of paper, when I said I do, or when I said I want to be in this relationship with you, I signed a contract. That's a spiritual contract,
right?
Regardless of how you look at it. And so, again, if we have not discussed, if we had not put that on the table, because people have alternative lifestyles, and that's completely so that was not put on the table in the beginning, I cannot then have these expectations now. And if I do, I'm along the lines of goodbye. I can heal by myself.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's my answer for it.
Right.
You know, and it sucks because, again, we're not taught these conversations. We're not taught conversations of connectivity and sympathy, you know, for our spouses.
Right.
We're just taught our roles in
Right.
marriage for the most part. And so, yeah, we got to be cohesive. But yeah, that's my answer for that one.
Let me answer as well. I'm in total agreement. Absolutely not. No, it's not right for male or female to impose, that since you can't meet my needs, then let me go elsewhere. Let me talk from the perspective of marriage, right? Just like Q said, it's a contract. Biblically speaking, the contract is a covenant, right? Yeah. Because you have made a covenant, which is a contract, which is a promise, which is an agreement, not only between the male and the female, but also with God, right? Also, so if I cheat on my wife, I'm not only cheating on my wife, I'm also cheating on God, right? And even Jesus even said that, listen, if a man even looks at a woman to lust after her, guess what? He's already committed adultery.
I'm about to go.
In his mind, in his heart, rather.
Run up out of here. I'm about to run up out of here. I'm about to go. I'm just gonna let you just take it. You just take it to go.
Right. So for me, right, for me, and let me be honest. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I'm no saint. I cheated on my wife. Let me be completely transparent. I cheated on my wife in the confines of marriage, right? Even after I was a Christian, so I knew, right? So I did do this, and I'm speaking from a place of healing as well. Is that now I can't even look at another one, because that scripture right there comes into play. Oh, wait a minute, I can't commit adultery here. Right. Just to go back to the question, right? Q said something very, very profound that a lot of people really need to put into perspective, is that we've got to make sure that when we enter into a relationship, and ladies and gentlemen, we need to teach our children this. when you enter into a relationship, you need to set the foundation of who you are. This is who if you're going to ask me 21 questions, I'm going to give you 21 good, solid answers, right? If here's where sex is for me. That you have some people where you enter into a relationship with a very sexual person and and the other person is sexual, but sex is not all that important to them, right? Sex is really kind of down. So you've got to understand where you are in the scale of sex in your relationship, right? So if I enter into a relationship with, let's just say if I was single, if I enter into a relationship with a woman and sex is not that important, then I've got to put in perspective what this relationship is going to look like 20 years from now.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We have to put into perspective what our relationship is going to look like spiritually 20 years from now, right? If I'm a God-fearing person, maybe I'm not sold out for Christ, but listen, even in a relationship, you got to open up the Bible and say, what's the standard of sex? If I can point out the standard of sex to you, the Bible tells us, right? And again, going back to 1 Corinthians chapter number 7, I believe it is that I am not to deny my wife sex, and she is not to deny me sex. The only time we are to deny each other is in the aspect or in the idea of prayer, basically fasting. If we're fasting, then yes, okay. But outside of that, no. Outside of that, the Bible tells me that if my wife wants to have sex, if I'm physically
if you're able to, right?
Right. If I'm able to perform, then I must perform. She must perform. But if not, then it's not okay for us to go and find means elsewhere. Just think about this. What if Jesus said, you know what? You're not performing as a Christian in the manner that I need you to perform. So I'm going to leave you and I'm going to go and find somebody else who will perform as a blood-bought believer.
You better say it.
I don't know about, and the church is married to Christ, right? And so I would hope and pray that Jesus would never tell me that I'm not performing correctly. So he's going to go and find somebody else to perform as a follower of Christ better than I.
You better tell it. You better tell it. And here's how I want to piggyback on that is from, like you said, even if you're not sold out for Christ, like I believe in God, and I'm gonna say I'm not a hardcore Christian. I'm very spiritual, but I do believe in the spiritual principles of how a woman and a man should be. Right. Now, again, I have had sex out of wedlock. Right. I have a about to be 27-year-old son. I wasn't married to nobody in high school. And I've had relations where in getting to know my exes, I've been married, okay, more than once. Hey, it is what it is. You know, and in getting to know them, I tried to do the whole let's not have sex for a couple of months. And then eventually I felt pressured, and I'll be honest, because I'm not too much of a follower and I can't be pressured. But when I started falling for the wolf, because they were all wolves in sheep clothing, every last one of them, I said it. All of them. When I got to a certain point where I felt like, okay, I fell for the sheep, I felt like the next step for me was sex. Now, me being a little timid, a lot of people may not believe this. Alan, you know, when we were, I'm shy. You know, I'm an introvert. I won't say shy. I'm an introvert. Y'all, you know me, Q. You've known me for over 10 years or so. I'm an introvert and I'm very private. You don't see much of me until you get me, you know, alone or until we're on the backside of things. And then you start seeing my personality outside of what you guys see. So me being timid, and having dealt with insecurities, let's do it.
Sure.
You know, dealing with insecurities from trauma. You know what I mean? I've been through some trauma, you know, and going through that trauma, it made me look at life as if sometimes I've gotten into points when it came to sex where I had to fold, I had to give, because if I wanted to sustain, remember that word in the beginning, if I wanted to sustain and keep this, what I thought was an ideal relationship where I was tricked into feeling safe, I was tricked into feeling like this is going to be different from any of the other situations you've ever dealt with. And we're talking about in this last 20 years, because I didn't really do a lot of dating until this last 20 years when I was married more than once, you know, and in these relationships in the beginning, I felt like this is what I got to give. If I don't give this because this is what they want, then this safety net that I feel like I'm experiencing, this chance of a lifetime of having something different than what I ever thought I could have, I'm going to lose it.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't give in, because being a grown woman and meeting men in this last 20 years, I'm over 40, and coming to the table and saying, hey, let's not have sex, you know, for the first 6 months or the first 9 months, let's get to know me. You know, I got 2 degrees and like Q, I'm in graduate school. I got 5 classes and, you know, I'm a graduate now. And, you know, I bought stuff to the table, 6 figures. You know what I'm saying? I come to the table with a child, with a house, with furniture, what you need. I accrued a lot, even though the marriages will suck. I still got, you know, I accrued my life within those times. So I come to the table and I'm like, hey, you know, I got more than just this, you know, and then I'm being made to feel like, okay, but what that do? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? What that mouth do though? You know, let's keep it real.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It come in and it's like, okay, now I'm at this point where it's like, I got to give in because I don't want to lose this great thing that I found. I don't want to lose. Now, let's be real. We're adults. We're all adults. And once you get into adulthood, which 20 years ago, I was an adult. You know what I mean? I was an adult with a child. You know, sex is going to have to be on the table. Mm-hmm. It is. Right. But I felt pressured. Yeah. I felt pressured in each one of these situations, and going in my head, going hard or going home sexually, you know, basically putting on a performance, because if this is the last thing to make you decide if you want to kick it with me or not, or be with me or not, I need to drive this on home. I need this home run. So I'm gonna go in, go hard. But in my heart, I felt forced. I felt intimidated, and I felt like I had to give you that when that's not who I was. That's like, I can do it. Don't get me wrong. I've been a stripper. I was an escort. I had a lifestyle in the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. I've had a lifestyle, but that wasn't me. It was just a profession I chose because it was something that I did. But what a lot of people don't realize is that I chose that profession because of the sexual trauma. MST, because of the sexual trauma that I had experienced, I felt like the only place I could be safe sensually and sexually and be able to dive off into my sexuality was in the safe zones behind the walls and on a stage where there's bouncers, there's a den mom, there's a manager. You understand what I'm saying? There's a house manager. Yeah. Because when I'm confined in that environment, whatever I do because I want to do. Right. Nobody's making me feel pressured. Nobody's giving me an ultimatum. Nobody's telling me you got to give me sex. No, they come in, I get on that stage, you can't touch me. Right. I walk around, you can't touch me unless I give you permission to touch me. Right. I'm on the stage, I'm naked. I'm gyrating, I'm humping, hunching, whatever you want to call it. And I can do this freely without being afraid and feel intimidated or like I got to be forced to give you that part of me. So when I come out of the club, I used to go, I was in a relationship and I was married, you know what I'm saying? And dating when I was stripping and I wasn't, when I first started, I wasn't. Okay, but I started stripping. I was in the military. It is what it is. I was a reservist in the military, and for 5 years, I was stripping and I was escorting. I came from homelessness, so we're gonna leave that at that. That's another show. So I was doing what I had to do. I was dealing with trauma and I didn't feel safe having sex.
Right.
And that's another thing. And I said all that to bring it home and say, that's another thing is a lot of times men and women, I'm a victims assault advocate, go into these relationships and we want all the stuff that we feel like we getting. And we feel pressured into coming in with focuses of sex.
Right.
Because we feel like if we don't come in and give that,
right,
because that's what the other person is based, that's what they're zoned in on. If we don't give them that, then we lose. We feel like we lose. So what do you say, Pastor Thompson, to and I'm being mindful of our time because I know you got a service. You got to do service this morning. So what do you say to that woman or that man or that child, that teenager, that young girl or that young guy who wants to expound on their mind, on their dreams and their hopes whenever they find this person that they want to be with, but because of being afraid or because of feeling pressured that they give in or feel like they have to give in to the sexual desires the way that other person wants it in order for them to not basically be dumped or to be abandoned, because that feeling of abandonment comes when somebody walks away from you for something that you feel like you can't control or you don't understand why they walked away. What do you say to that, Pastor Alandres?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is getting healing from past trauma, right? Getting healing from past trauma, and allowing yourself to see the value in yourself.
Say it.
Because the thing that caught me is the fear of losing somebody. If this person truly values you, right, then they would never bring you to a point where you would have the mindset that you would have to fear losing them. Right? If I value you, I'm going to, number one, I understand. And I've already gotten to the point in our relationship where you've opened up to me to tell me what your past trauma is, to tell me what your past hurt is, to tell me what your fears are, right? So once we got to that point, now I'm going to consistently reaffirm and reconfirm to you that I value you, that I'm here for you, and you have nothing to worry about with losing me. Why? Because I'm in it for the long run. My main objective is not to manipulate you, right? It's not to get you to the place where I bring you to a place of an ultimatum, either give me sex or I'm gone. That should let you know right then and there that I don't value you. But I'm not going to get you to that place to where you have to choose between giving a portion of yourself that should not be given, especially in this time. Even if you were thinking, even if this was a relationship that is on the brink of marriage, you should not feel as though you have to give away yourself, right? Give away a portion of yourself until you've been completely and totally healed. Absolutely. Right? And so again, it really goes back to my main objective is to make sure that you get healed as a person. I want you to be healed. I want that void that is in you, right? Because we're talking about there is a void that is going on the inside of you that maybe you don't even understand is there, but I need to help you tap into that void and help that void to be filled, right? And lose this fear, get rid of this fear that you have of losing people, even if it's not me, even if I'm no longer in the picture. You should not have to live your life afraid of losing anybody. Because you'll never be whole. You'll never be whole if you always feel like if I lose somebody, it's going to deplete me. It's going to take away from me. I have to be. Paul said, let every man be fully convinced within himself. It's a different context, but still, I've got to be fully convinced within myself of who I am. of who. So if you decide to leave, oh, I'm perfectly fine. If you decide to leave, oh, let me get the door for you.
Oh, wow.
That's how
it should be, but that's not always the case, Pastor.
Not always the case.
I've experienced this. We've talked. Y'all know my person. I've experienced it. It's devastating when you get abandoned and you're being abandoned because of the fact that you can't perform in a manner of what the other person wants, is because and it's strictly of no fault of your own.
Right.
You know what I mean? I hear what you're saying, but it's not that easy to just like, let me get the door. But eventually, it becomes that way.
Right. That's just the point. The person that you're afraid of losing should be the person that helps you get to that place, is what I'm saying. Helps you get to that place of confidence, of self-esteem, of self-value, self-worth. Right. That person should be the person that gets you that helps you get to the place where you see your value, and they should be able to see your value as well. So to answer your question, what do you say to those people who are in that place right there? Is, again, make sure that you when you go into a relationship, walk slowly. Take your time to get to know a person and create that foundation, because your main objective should be, this person needs to know who I am. You have to know my hurt. You have to know my pain. You have to know the things that hinder me in life. And if they're not willing to listen to that, automatically they're not the right person.
Do y'all hear that, young men and young women out there? Are y'all listening to these jewels being dropped on y'all by Pastor Alandres Thompson Jr.? Y'all better listen, because that is literally that's precisely what we're trying to convey here.
Absolutely.
This show was for the purpose of us talking about a hot topic. Right now, we do that anyway on the Talk Spot Live after show. You hear me?
I like this show.
Thank you. We're gonna have to bring you back. Okay, we're gonna have to bring you back. And call it
something that was absolutely phenomenal. And I just wanted to, I know we're missing our time, just real quick.
Go.
Well, Kookie, you mentioned the pressure, that aspect of feeling pressure. Right. And I was taught if you felt pressure, you were hesitant in the first place.
Right.
You knew it wasn't for you. Anytime we feel pressured to do anything, especially be involved with somebody, if we're pressured, that means we know that's not for us. Now, this is a good thing, is good pressure. You know, when you got the people who are actually been providing, as Pastor said, who've made you realize things about yourself and built you up and helped you build yourself up. When they are pressuring you to, hey, I think you should do that thing. I think you should write that book.
Right.
I think you should study. I think you should do whatever the case. That's an aspect. That's pressure in an aspect of, they say, when you ask yourself, what am I doing here? You've put yourself, you've removed yourself from the box that you're used to, and you're exposing yourself to new things. But the pressure aspect, the negative, that I don't really want to do this, but but I need to leave.
Yeah.
But I gotta go.
But I need to
leave. You're right. It's not easy. It's not easy when you've gotten to your place and gotten into yourself enough, and you know yourself enough, you know, as you mentioned, as Pastor mentioned, you know the value that you bring and that you provide. Right. You, at that point, you create that boundary, and life is blissful. Right. Or can thus become blissful at that point.
That's right.
Absolutely.
That's right. You said that in relation, you look at the stuff that you brought to the table, right? You brought stability, is what when you spoke of all of the things that you brought to the table, the word that came to me is stability.
Absolutely.
Right? A house, 6 figures, education, right? And now you've got this talk. So, you know, you're an advocate for things. You've brought self-worth, right? So you brought discipline to the you're bringing all of this to the table. And if anyone can't match that, if they can't at the very least match what you bring to the table, then they're not the one. They're not the one. And I love what Q said. It's that positive pressure. So that person needs to pressure you to be even greater than you are right now.
Absolutely.
Say it. And it's not about the money, right? It's not because you say bring to the table. We're not talking about because I've been in relationship marriage where they thought because they had good sex, that was enough. While I'm out here following school goals and I'm bringing home the 6 figures, I got multiple streams of income coming in and I'm doing more probably at work than he even dreaming about doing. And he feels like because I'm having sex, his mama done said it must be nice to have, I ain't gonna lie, he was younger. It must be nice to have a young buck, wanting you and coming home and doing you right. What? Right. That's not why I chose him. I didn't choose him because of his sex, because let's keep it real. When God made his DD belt, he didn't stop making them. And then I would prefer, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, the DD belt might be good, but what that mind do though? What that education do though? That's what I'm looking at.
Right.
And oh my God, this has been awesome. Guys, you see, I'm so in my head because here's the thing. Healing is so important. And I know that this show is going to be healing for somebody, including me. Y'all know my story. So this healing is going to be this healing not even going to be, it is being. This healing is working for me.
Amen.
It has been a freaking honor. Before we let you go, Q will stick around and have some final thoughts. Before we let you go, Pastor Thompson, again, you guys, I'll say he has service. He's the pastor of a church, so he has service coming up and he has to prepare himself for his service. So I want to be mindful and respectful of your time because it has been freaking awesome.
It's been an honor.
To have you on this show, Alan. It's been awesome. What I want you to do is give a final message to the young generation out here who being pressured by society's standard and cliche that sex is where it's at, and they're taking that and conceptualizing it in their minds that this is what I have to do. You can give it from a kingdom perspective, but let's do it from a reality perspective because they're gonna do it. They're gonna have sex.
Right.
But give advice to our younger generation out there as to how they should approach the situation of sex in a relationship. And then after that, I want you to tell everybody how to get in touch with you through your social media, your church. You got a prayer line, because I know that it's a lot of people that's going to want to holler at you.
Amen. Well, listen, to everybody that's listening, young people, older people, you have value. Right? God has value in you. I want you to be able to look at yourself in the mirror every day and know that you are valued, you are important, and you are appreciated, and you are a person that God wants to cherish, that God does cherish. And you should never allow yourself to enter into any type of relationship, right, that you do not feel that you have self-worth, that you do not have control of, because you can set your boundaries, you can set the foundation and stick with it. Stick with it. Don't just allow sex to be the driving factor of your relationship, because you have so much more to offer than just your body. Your body should not be anyone's playground. Your body should not be anyone's trash can. Your body should not be anybody's manipulating spot, a spot where they go to just so that they can release what they have off of them and then put all of their things upon you. Right? You are so much more valuable than that. You are worth so much more than that. Your body should be the last portion of the conversation. Okay. And so I just want you to know that the Bible teaches us that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are the apple of God's eye, right? God says, I love you with an everlasting love. And so if you are having trouble finding out or getting to that place of feeling loved and wanted and desired, you don't have to find it in sex. You can find it in God. You can find it in God. And the beauty about God is a gentleman. He will never force himself upon you. He will never manipulate you. He will set the foundation. He will put it all on the table, and he will allow you to tell him exactly who you are as a person, even though he already knows exactly who you are. But God is a gentleman. And so again, I just want you to value yourself. Value yourself. And don't allow anybody to manipulate you to do anything that you do not want to do. It is my prayer that you come to sex in the confines of marriage, but the reality of it is some of us don't. But if you do get to that place, please make sure that, number one, you protect yourself, right? Not only physically, but emotionally and mentally and spiritually as well. Protect yourself, because you are worth more than some people want to give you credit for. Amen.
Hey man, where can we find you at?
You can find me you can find me at Alandres Thompson Jr. on Facebook. You can find me at New Grace House of Worship on Facebook and on Instagram. Please send me a message, hit me up, whatever it is. I'm all ears. We'll keep it 100. You know, if you need somebody to talk to, you want me to just shut up and listen. If you want to chop it up, if you wanted me to just sit there and listen while you cuss, scream, holler, all of that, come on, let's do it. Because my main objective is to make sure that you get healed and that you get the right perspective.
And he's the truth, y'all. When I tell y'all, I could not have picked a better guest and kingdom man and homie of Jesus to come on this show for this topic alone, because y'all, he is the truth. When I tell y'all, you get a homeboy and a kingdom man of God all wrapped up in one.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, we know. Hold up. God used you to.
I say that to y'all because y'all brought it too. Y'all brought it too.
But God used you today. Q and I and Philly. As y'all saw, Philly was getting it in. Philly was like, I needed to be on this show today. Nah, boo boo. That's what you get. That's what you get for having to recover from the COVID. No, but we love you and we glad you recovered. But that's what you get. No, but Alan, Pastor Alandres Thompson Jr., thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
First Lady Tara Thompson, we thank you so much for allowing us to be able to tap into your mighty man of God's mind today, right before church service. We appreciate the both of you. We send you our love, First Lady Thompson. Thank you so much. I know you gotta go. This is see you later, because we done spoke. We done made a vote. Q did it by reaction, and Philly was in our comments, and we've made a vote. You're going to come back. We're gonna figure out how to bring you back. We might make you permanent just so we can get that perspective and we can figure it out.
Hey, whatever y'all need me to do, I'm all for it. You
are welcome here at any time. Thank you so much. If you could just take a moment when you get a chance to go into the comments on our live and put your information there.
All right.
If you just got a few minutes, just put your Facebook, your Instagram in the comments. We got a lot of comments. We see y'all. We love y'all. Thank y'all so much. In moderation, that little hair is getting on my nerves. In moderation, we've been trying to communicate and engage. We tried, but this show had us like all tied up, and I was over here. But Alan, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and we'll let you sign out.
All right.
But understand again, this is see you later. This is not it, and we love you so much. And
all right, I love y'all as well. Thank you again, Q, my brother. Good to meet you, man.
Absolutely.
We'll talk to you as well.
All right, and Nathan said Philly said you better come back.
I got you, bro. I got you.
All right, we'll talk to you next time. Have
All
a
right.
great day and enjoy that service today. I know you will.
All
Go out.
right, yeah. I get out with you. Holla.
This is awesome.
All
You're
right.
absolutely right. There are so many comments, and it's a few. We got so caught in conversation. Oh man, that's awesome.
Right? Like he just dropped some bombs in the form of jewels on us. Look, y'all, like Pastor Alandres Thompson said, I just want to like reflect and go back on some of what he said, like the healing part. Like I said, this show is healing for me and for a lot of people out there. I'm pretty sure. You got to heal from trauma, period. But when it comes to that sexual trauma, you got to heal because it will put you into situations like Pastor Thompson said, where you set yourself up for the okie doke.
Absolutely.
And you come in hard charging. Like he said, you come in, what you coming in with, and because you did not set your boundaries, you set the expectations, you set false expectations. So therefore, when stuff gets hard, now you're faced with the fact that you didn't set boundaries.
You don't know how to deal with it. You don't know how to handle it.
Exactly.
Those habits.
The thing and that was right is don't enter into, like he said, no soul contractual agreements or no contractual agreements until you are ready and you know how to handle it. I know that we see out, a lot of people always saying, no, sometimes people can help you get through a situation. That's true. Yeah. That's true. But they're called coaches, psychologists, they're called doctors, they're called ministers, because some people are spiritually capable of helping you heal from traumas, especially sexual traumas, since this show is about sex, because in the way a person treats you and handles you, that can help you. That can help you heal.
I have a question for you in that aspect. And I'm sorry to interrupt. I have a question.
No, you're good. Maybe you host.
So people who don't have that coach, that mother, father, who's, or that auntie, friend, those people that they can actually go to and talk to about these things and start that healing process. And two questions really. What do you feel like starts the healing process? How do you heal? How do you recognize, saying that you need to be healed? And then who would you recommend going to for people who don't typically have those outlets?
Okay, so your first question, a lot of times we don't, and I say from personal.
I didn't. It took a long time.
Okay, we don't realize and we don't know that we need to be healed because we've set up this barrier that is now our facade, but to us is protection. Absolutely. So we get it. We go into this coping phase where we're coping, and in coping, we're making bad decisions. And that's when you start getting into the place where you're going through the same situations over and over and over. And for me, it was the same thing every time. Every marriage I walked into, and I had boundaries. I had thoughts. I had this idea of what I wanted in a relationship, and it wasn't just sex. It was safety. It was, somebody who loved me for me and understood that there was more to me than my doggy style. And, what that mouth do though, just keep it real. And I would start in like that, but eventually I would give in. Yeah. And when I gave in, that's when all the problems would start. And then I basically had marriages, all my marriages failed. Let's just keep it real. All my marriages failed because of infidelity, but not on my part. And I wasn't always right. Okay, so let's keep it real, because my reaction to the pain and to the hurt and to the infidelity and the porn and the virtual sex and all that stuff that was being committed against me, my reactions to it, I came out fighting and swinging. You know what I mean? So I came out to defend myself. So my reactions and my actions might not have always been the best. You understand? But the foundation of it was that my trauma was triggered. You know what I mean? And because of that, that's when I knew. This last time, that's when I knew.
Gotcha.
When I was face to face with not wanting to wake up this last time, I'm gonna just keep it real. Not wanting to wake up, feeling like if I just fell asleep and didn't wake up, and contemplating on taking myself out because I felt so bad, and I was like, I done had it, I'm tired. And then one magical question: why does this keep happening to me? That's what got me.
It is. It's cyclical. It becomes cyclical.
Yes, when I heard myself say, why does this keep happening to me? When I was standing in the mirror with them pills in my hand before I poured them in the toilet, I was like, why does this keep happening to me? And you know what? Why does this keep happening to me was my trigger. And that's what told me, you know what? I got a problem. I need to get help. I need to work on my issues, because if I don't, I'm going to keep walking into relationships like this. I'm going to come in. I'm going to surrender to the sexual nature of my mate. And I start getting to a place where I'm exhausted sexually, and I'm exhausted, of giving in to them, that sexual nature, which is not that important to me. It's on the table. It's like Philly said, it's glue, but it's not the foundation. It's not everybody. You want to have somebody that you're sexually, you have the sexual chemistry with, but not just sex. Let's get past that. We want intimacy. You want
sex is an added bonus of any relationship.
Exactly, because
you can add bonus. Yeah.
Say it.
I'm with my best friend. I feel good all day. We rocking, we doing stuff together, we talking all day, and then it just so happens we get home and it's like
physical.
Oh, I can, and it's just all it is just you should heighten. You should elevate yourself, elevate your relationship via sex. Use it as that tool. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it can be, oh man, my significant other is not feeling well, or maybe down, and like sex is not always intercourse. And like again, I wish somebody if I could just go back to 16-year-old Q and go back and be like, bro, it's different. Sometimes you just need your feet rubbed. Sometimes you just need, a scalp massage. It's like learn your spouse. Learn your spouse as a man, and like it's tough because we get put in a man box, and so we don't necessarily know how to allow certain emotions or intimacy. Really, we don't explore intimacy as men, and we get called weak for exploring intimacy. So you walking, holding hands down the street with your lady, and next thing you know, you guys are like, "Yo, I'll see you out there, man. You all soft, fam." This is between me and her. This has nothing to do with the world. This has nothing to do with anything or anyone else. So embrace that aspect of intimacy, and then in levels of it, once you explore the levels of intimacy, I believe sex becomes less objective and more subjective. Sex becomes something that is like, hey, like we like you said, please my mind, please my spirit.
Say it.
So I absolutely agree with you. I feel like and I know I asked you another question, but I feel like just as like literally we just need to reestablish and reassociate the way we teach sex in general, because
in relationships, right? And value and all that.
Absolutely. We need to learn that aspect of self-love and value. And it's never too late to learn self-love. That's what I've learned. It's never too late to learn self-love. I'm learning self-love at 30 in areas of my life, and it's healing areas of my life that I experienced at 13, 14, 15, I'm sure, as you understand. And like Pastor was talking about earlier, when you value yourself, when that pressure comes, like we already said, it's like, nah, I'm good. I'm okay. And it still hurts. It still sucks because sometimes you really like people, but everybody has their own journey, their path, and their time. So thank you for answering that question. That's awesome. As far as recognizing it, sometimes people really need to get to themselves. It really took me to eliminate everything that was in my path that I felt like I'm not. I'll just put myself out there. I was in a relationship, and you already understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just for years, like you said, it just keeps happening. It's cyclical. Why? And it wasn't just based on sex, but in an aspect of what we're talking about, we just did not build a foundation.
And that foundation should not be based upon sex. As you said, Q, I loved it. It's
Don't save relationships.
It's something that you can expound on beyond the getting to know each other mentally, getting to know each other spiritually, and getting to know each other soulfully.
So
I totally believe that too, like relationship and sex.
Yeah.
There should be a foundation of intimacy, and that's what we're looking out on from either perspective. This isn't a man or a woman thing. I don't get that, especially now after talking to both of you. I know you guys don't speak for everybody, but you do represent the male version, you know, or the male perspective of this. And I feel that intimacy is what should be the foundation, not
absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Even as a man, I'm like, listen, I grew up in Kansas, and then I went and moved to Chicago. So it was the west side of Chicago. It wasn't nice. It was that from PJ, from the hood. So as a dude coming from that environment, and I understand you got to walk outside and you got a certain image to uphold or whatever the case. It's really social. You can get rid of them too, but that's another conversation. Outside of that image, it don't matter if you trap all day. I'm gonna be honest with you. As a dude, as a woman, if you in the house and you trap all day, when you get home, that's an area of peace.
It should be
that peace. Create that foundation. Absolutely. That's no matter what. That's your best friend. So I don't care if you as big as Terry Crews and you got guns on you. You know what I'm saying? You got I don't care. When wifey walk in the room, your girl walked in the room, your lady walked in the room, and if you hugging her, you kissing her on the cheek, you doing whatever you got to do, can't nobody question you about that. You know what I'm saying? So don't let the aspects of, and even though I don't like this phrase, I think toxic masculinity has a lot to do with, you know, I think it has a lot to do with the ideas of the reasons as to why we approach it. And again, the reason why we receive toxic masculinity or the wrong ways to love, the wrong ways to have sex via popular media, as we already discussed. And that ain't it. We need to be talking.
Yep. And it's pressure for everybody. It's pressure on y'all. It's pressure on us. It's pressure. And so I wanted to answer the second part of your question.
Who do you go to?
I always say that I guess my first line of defense when it came to that was if you can go to your parent. You know, a lot of people don't have a relationship because the parent might have had something to do with the sexual trauma or how they conceptualize sex and relationships. But if that's not the case, I always say start with the parent. I say go and be transparent and open up to your parent and tell your parent what happened. For me, I got a chance to talk to my dad before he passed away because a lot of the trauma for me, as I stated, in the 20 years is when I came into the military. And, before my dad passed away, I was able to talk to him because this was 1999 into 2000 when I started having these issues. And I was able to open my soul and my heart up to my father and before he passed away. And was able to, that was the first time I had done it, like where I actually got it all off my chest and I told somebody and I told my dad and I think it was overwhelming for him because he was fighting for his life, but he told me that he felt bad because he felt like I should have been able to come to him, when it happened in 2000, when it happened in 2001, you know what I mean? As it was happening. So I went to my dad and to be able to tell a parent, it made me feel good. It eventually opened up the door for me to be able to go to my mom because, we don't talk about it a lot. We, especially when you're in an organization like that, You know, it's a lot of people don't say nothing because you're scared, because it affects your morale and it affects your ability to be able to function in that uniform. And you know what I mean? And not being able to tell nobody. And then I was dealing with, you know, marital woes during that time. You know, I was overloaded, and it was the onset of residuals that I've been faced with for 20 years. So being able to go to a parent is what helped me. I didn't really have friends that I trusted enough, because your peers was around when some of the stuff, you know, you were going through. They knew, you know. So I went to my dad. That's what I would say. I would say start with your parents. I would say go in and just make a decision to open up and bare your soul and go to your parent. And if you can't go to your parent, go to Nana, go to Gina, go to Medina. You understand what I'm saying?
Nana always there.
You know, Nana, G Mama, Medea. You know what I'm saying? She
keep it real.
A lot. She can relate to you more than you think.
Absolutely.
You go to Nana got something for that. Nana gonna put you, you know, she gonna set you straight. She gonna put you in the right place.
Absolutely.
You know, and from that perspective, yes, the healing has to start happening, and you need to go to. I'm a coach. I'm a coach and I'm a mentor. I've counseled at one point, but I'm not in the ability to to be a counselor, more so a coach. I would recommend going to get help from a medical professional. That's what I did. You understand? Let me tell you something. Even your psychiatrist and your counselor and your psychologist has a counselor, a psychologist, and a psychiatrist, because they deal with you. So what do you think that they have to go to deal with the personal life that they're going through? I have a team. You understand what I mean? And I have a team extended of, I have a G Mama, I have you, I have Alan, I have
Philly.
I have a team. At first I didn't ever think I had a team, but I have friends. I have a team of extended help that I get, and I say go get help, because the thing with sexual trauma is it repeats itself until you get the help that you need to train to stop
it. It does.
And that's what I had to learn. Why was it always happening to me? Sexual repeating itself, because I never stopped to get the vital help that I needed. So I wind up in these relationships where sex was always overbearing and sex was always in my face, and I kept going through all these sexual demons, and I'm gonna call them demons. I was dealing with it was sexual pressure, and I was losing relationships. Now let's keep it real now. We ain't gonna say that we don't do sex because we adults. Let's keep it real. It's just that, again, like Pastor Thompson said, you gotta make sure that if you're gonna have sex, that you're in a safe place sexually, mentally. You gotta feel safe with the person you're having sex with. You gotta feel physically safe, emotionally safe, mentally safe, and you have to feel physically safe if you're gonna go out there and you're gonna commit to a sexual or hopefully intimate relationship. And again, sex.
You gotta be ready for the outcomes too. You got to be ready for the potential outcomes.
Exactly.
Of everybody that you lay with as well.
And you got to be willing to walk away. You have, and that was my problem. And I'm getting stronger. I'm getting stronger. I've been getting the help that I need. And you got to be willing to walk away if you feel pressured. Like Pastor Thompson said, if you're feeling pressured from the beginning to give in and commit to a sexual aspect of a relationship, then you're already wrong. You an about face. You need to, like he said, you need to bye-bye. You need to walk away. This is the time to say bye, because if you're already feeling pressure, then that means that you're not condoning. You don't want to, and you're surrendering.
Absolutely.
And you got to stop surrendering, because that's what I've been doing. I'm ready to submit to some good intimacy and a good man and some good living, or whatever. I'm.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to think about it. Yeah. I agree with you so much. I like that word. Instead of surrender, it's submit. I'm choosing this now.
Yes.
Surrender means I ain't got no choice.
Exactly.
I don't have a choice. I have to deal with, what I'm saying, what I have, what I'm receiving. But submitting, absolutely. That's
and that's where your girl at now, y'all. My next, no, it's not my next, no, but truly, that's what I'm ready for. I'm ready for a level of romanticism that you see in fairy tales, but I know it's possible. My grandma told me that, God rest her soul. You can have what you want. You can have the relationship that's based on that soulful tie, that spiritual tie. Look, if you can't make love to me here, you can't get down here. And I let go of those boundaries. But guess what? Once you start loving yourself and learning to heal from that trauma,
absolutely,
girl, been that process now for probably about 9-10 months now. I'm gonna keep it real. Even as a coach, I fail, even as a coach. But guess what? I got up and what I'm learning. So my next situation, and I'm gonna stop. Ain't gonna be no situation. My next relationship,
there you go.
It's gonna be based on intimacy. It's gonna be based on me keeping that boundaries where if you ain't coming through, look, if you ain't coming through God, whether we, like he said, whether we married or not, because we gonna have sex. We gonna be in relationships that are not marriage, committed. If you're not coming for my soul, and if you're not coming, and not in a bad way, but if you're not coming to make love to my mind, if you're not coming to me intimacy, I'm not interested. I want it.
And it goes for men too. Brothers need to look out for this. Men, look out, yo. What she bringing to the table? I know shorty fine. She probably got all her hair. I don't know. Whatever reason you use.
Okay.
Yo, is she here? Is she asking you questions that you pay attention? She asks you questions that nobody else has asked you before. You know what I'm saying? Because this is the same on both fields. It's just dressed different. So you're absolutely right. And self-love that leads to self-healing. You can't have one without the other. When you love yourself, you automatically make another decision to heal yourself and move past these things. And like you mentioned, the next relationship built in intimacy, you've chosen that relationship. You've chosen to heal yourself. And now you're constantly choosing your significant other because you want to. That's a beautiful thing.
And y'all, we're mindful of the time. This has been very it has been very invigorating. It has been very fulfilling. Q and I, we took a moment post Pastor Alandres Thompson Jr.'s exit to get personal with you guys, because this is a very, very personal topic. A lot of people have been dealing with a lot of this during COVID. This is unfortunately one of the pitfalls of COVID in relationships. So as we close out, what I want to say is just that don't feel pressured to commit to sexual acts of any, in a relationship or not, but especially in a relationship. If you don't want to commit to sex in a relationship at the beginning or in the relationship, you have to set the boundaries and you have to make your expectations known. And if you are afraid to do that, let this be the show and the word you need to encourage you to tap into your courage and your strength and reach out to someone who can help you to come into your right mind and be strong enough and courageous enough to walk away from any situation that you don't feel like you're comfortable with committing to.
Absolutely.
Sex is out there. People are having sex. We gonna have sex. It may or may not happen in marriage, y'all. But if you do choose to go into a situation and involve yourself with someone sexually, again, as Pastor Thompson said, and that is the message that I feel like we want to leave you with. Are you already know what I'm about to say? We want to wish you well, and that in whatever relationship you involve yourself in, and there's sex involved, sex or intimacy, is that you're doing it safely. You're doing it mentally safe, physically safe, spiritually safe, and soulfully safe.
Mhm.
If you don't feel safe, please get the courage to walk away. And if you need a coach's perspective, or you need a mentor, because I'm a mentor and a professional, certified professional coach,
Mhm.
and you guys can reach out to me. Okay. You can reach out to me by texting READY, READY, to 900 just as it says, the word READY to 900. And you can also reach out to us, the host, if you feel comfortable with talking to either Q or Philly or myself. We're mentors. All of us are, actually. We're all military veterans, and we've all been NCOs, and we've all been designated mentors. This is what we did for our soldiers and what we can do for people. If you want to contact any one of us, dial us at 877-317-3239. And I take that back. Let me retract. Don't dial us. Text us at 877-317-3239. And you tell us which one of us you want to talk to, either Q, Philly, or myself, Cookie Maddox, and we will return your call, and we will help you and provide the resources for you that you need to put you in the direction that you need to go into to get help with concerns you have, whereas your sexual nature, your sexuality, or if you're in a relationship where you're being abused sexually, we can help you with that. I'm an abuse victims advocate, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention that in my show. So I have resources for you, and I can help you to get out that situation, or help you to get through any of your concerns in that situation and put you in touch with resources. Q, is there anything you want to say before we sign out?
Man, I think I just got to end with the aspect. Just love yourself, for real. And if you don't know how to love yourself, Google it.
Everything on Google, right?
Seriously, I'm dead serious. You need to Google it and figure out what loving yourself means. It's a lot of aspects people see. It's a lot of things out there. If you do decide to Google it, but what that ultimately means is understand what you bring to the table, and understanding your value. Saying you have a lot to offer, and everybody has a purpose. If somebody in your life does not serve your purpose, if you feel like your purpose has shifted, changed, or whatever the case, have that conversation, have that talk with yourself first. Establish that with yourself first, and then everything else is protecting your peace of mind.
You said a mouthful. All right, y'all. It has been awesome. Thank you again, Pastor Alandres Thompson Jr., for joining us here on the Talk Spot Live after show. It has been awesome. It has been insightful. It has been healing. And we thank God and First Lady Tara Thompson for you, Pastor Alandres Thompson Jr. Q, thank you so much for riding with me. Definitely. I know that Philly was not here on the show, but y'all, he was in the comments and he was chopping it up.
Yeah, Philly been here the whole time.
And we just want to make sure that you are being safe out there during COVID. Please, something is in my eye. Please forgive me. We want to make sure that you guys are being safe out there during this COVID, and taking care of yourselves. Taking care of yourselves from a perspective of just making sure you total health, wellness, spiritual, mental, soulful, and physical, y'all. It can be okay. It can be. And we miss you, Philly. We miss you. We can't wait to see you. See you. have you on the next show. But y'all, y'all see I'm a little hesitant to end the show because I'm feeling like I'm so drawn into this, but we gotta go. We gotta go. So, love, peace, and happiness, everybody. We love y'all, and we will see y'all next show. Peace.
Peace.